What's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So if you caught my video that I uploaded earlier today, I mentioned that the video I had initially planned to go up yesterday, I decided to put on hold as I hadn't quite finished editing it yet before I started not feeling well, but I figured since most of what I had discussed was actually still relevant, and I was sharing my thoughts on the NBA health and safety protocols related to COVID-19, I figured I would go ahead and upload it. So I'm going to go ahead and share this anyway. Just bear in mind this was recorded yesterday morning, so now I will kick it over to that. What's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So before I get into today's video, just a quick reminder that the gift card giveaway to the NBAstore.com is still up for grabs. I will be drawing one winner among my list of subscribers through an online generator once the channel hits 2,000 subscribers. As that's when I'll be closing the drawing. So if you want to be included in the raffle, all you have to do is subscribe, and you also have to ensure that your subscriptions are public. Otherwise, there's nothing else you have to do, and if you've already subscribed, you're already included. Also, I had a couple people asking me about doing a live chat during the games and wanted to see if that is something that would be of interest to you or if you would plan on joining. I likely would not be able to do all of the live chats for all of the games. As some of you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, that I do have a full-time job as well as a young toddler at home, so committing to live chats for the whole game or for all of the Bulls games across the season would be difficult to do, but I'll see what I can do. Either way, let me know if that is something that would interest you guys. I'll likely throw up a poll in the community tab as well, just to gauge interest overall. But aside from that, let's get into the video. So the Bulls will be taking on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, which will be their most formidable opponent that they've played against so far this season. Now, back-to-back games are always challenging, especially when it entails traveling to another city to play the second half of a back-to-back. And we're going to be seeing a lot of this season because, again, it's a shortened season, but also it's 72 games packed into a tight timeline. So there won't be a ton of rest between games. And players, however, there'll be less traveling overall to limit exposure to COVID, but either way, it's going to be a grueling season. Now, a quick injury update for the Bulls, and then I'll go into what I wanted to talk about in this video. The Bulls were without Markkanen, Hutchinson, Satoransky, and Arcidiacono due to the NBA health protocol, which of course is always left a little vague as teams are not obligated to share the details or whereabouts of their players due to privacy policies that the league has around the health and safety protocol. Now with that, Billy Donovan did confirm after the game in a post-game press conference that these four players will not be traveling to Milwaukee, and he cannot elaborate as to the details around this other than that they remain under the health and safety protocol. So in short, these guys will not be available for the game today. What's interesting is that we don't know if the players will have to stay in DC to do any type of quarantine or isolation measures, or if they have been flown back to Chicago. Now, what's unfortunate with this is, and not really knowing the details behind why the players have entered the health and safety protocol, is that we have no idea how long these guys could be out. It could just be for today's game, or it could be as much as 2 weeks, depending on how long the quarantine measure is. What I did find surprising is how Markkanen fell into this protocol, because we all knew that Lauri had suffered a calf contusion that initially sidelined him in the game against the Warriors, which was then re-aggravated in that first game against the Wizards. So I'm curious as to why they couldn't share this detail on Markkanen. So it leads me to believe that this likely is COVID related, whether it be a positive test or potential exposure. Either way, guys, it shows the uniqueness that this season is going to present, and that you're going to see players in and out of the lineup on any given night across the league. But what I guess I find odd, and maybe it's not even something worth making a video about, but I'm really just confused by, is wouldn't you think if a player had tested positive or a player needs to fall under the NBA health and safety protocol, that this wouldn't apply to the entire team, not just a handful of guys? Like, this kind of goes back to when Noah Vonleh tested positive for COVID after playing in the Bulls' first preseason game, which the Bulls then quickly waived him. And there were a few guys who had to self-isolate, or they, fell into the NBA protocol I believe it was actually Satoransky and Devin Dotson who had missed the rest of the preseason as a result. But because this virus is so contagious, you would assume if one player tests positive, especially after said player was out playing on the court, that the entire team is at risk of exposure. I don't know, I'm not a doctor nor am I a scientist. I won't pretend to be, one that knows, the whole health and safety protocol. It just seems a bit odd to me, kind of like how, players wear masks on the bench and they also sit distance from each other on the bench, but then play full contact against each other on the court. Anyway, I'm sure there is a legitimate reason for it, and obviously this kind of thing should be taken seriously because people's lives are at risk, and quite frankly, that's more important than just playing a game of basketball. Either way, the lineup the Bulls had in their last game yesterday played pretty well together. Thaddeus Young, Gaffer were great sparks off the bench, and all the starters finished in double figures. Otto Porter really having the most impressive night out of everyone. If I'm going to be realistic, I don't see the Bulls winning this game. I know the Bucks have kind of had a slow start to their season, believe it or not. They actually have the same record as the Bulls, but this team is super talented. They have the best player in the league, in my opinion anyway, in Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have a star veteran point guard in Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, another big man to go alongside Giannis. And with the Bulls undermanned for the game, I just don't see how they walk away with the win for this one. Now, of course, the NBA is always unpredictable and upsets always happen. On top of that, as I mentioned earlier, you never know which players will be in and out of the lineup on a given night. So if the Bucks are missing some key players due to the NBA protocol or just general injuries, which I don't believe the Bucks have any updates on that, at least at this point in time, then again, that changes things and the potential outcome of the game. But I've said it multiple times, I'm okay with the Bulls losing, especially when it's against quality teams, as long as they play hard with effort and energy for the whole game. So as long as I see that today, but it results in a loss, I can live with that. What I liked most about the win yesterday, because it wasn't like the Bulls played a title contending team by any means, but what was noteworthy was that they showed mental toughness that they really hadn't shown in those first couple games, putting their heads down, giving up on plays when things weren't going their way. That's what we saw from those, the games against the Hawks and the Pacers, and they completely turned that around against the Wizards. Rather, when they came to DC after that heartbreaking loss, they should have won really. They bounced back and played a great game. Then for the second matchup, after losing 4 guys, they pivoted and adapted nicely. They still came out hungry and came out for a desire to win. Billy Donovan said it best when asked about the team's resilience in his post-game presser after the game against the Wizards, and it was some growth because I thought in the Indiana game when we got kind of hit during the second half, we just didn't come back and compete. And I thought we fought a lot better in the midst of a lot of runs and momentum changing and shifting and having to kind of regroup and refocus, end quote. Which is great to see from a young team who are still learning to grow together and learning from a new coach. My hope is that the Bulls will carry this mental toughness and resiliency into the game against the Bucks, and really for the rest of the season for that matter, because it's going to be a wild ride on any given night under the circumstances we find ourselves in playing during a pandemic. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys for now. Hope you have a great New Year's Day. Enjoy the game if you're able to watch it. Let me know how you guys feel about having a live chat during the games, if that's something that would interest you guys. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, and I will catch you guys in the next one.